outstanding. I'm just going to make sure to record. I've forgotten numerous times and then have to do the fake re-intro again. So this time I'm going to get it right. It is indeed Dexter and Noodles from Offspring. We have a new Offspring album. I said I love Zoom calls only because it's adult show and tell. So I'm just like, I have the old one, but now we have a new one.
That's right.
First of all, congratulations, because I know it's been a long time coming. I wanted the album to be called "It's Finished, It's Done," because that was the quote I'd heard numerous times.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, I think was another title for it. Finally. Yeah.
But I like it. I love the cover art. Whoever did the cover art did a really cool. Who's the artist?
The artist's name is David Benito. And we have a piece of his work in our bathroom here in the studio. And when we were talking about artwork for this, we went around a couple times with the label, and finally we went, "Hey, what about this guy? We have his art in our bathroom." So,
you're standing there peeing in the toilet, you look around, there's this art thing on the wall, like, oh yeah, what about that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He did your band photo too, I think, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He does kind of mixed media artwork. He starts with photographs and then adds stuff to it, and that's what the cover work is about, and some of the inside work as well. It does a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, so we said, hey, let's have him come out and shoot us for some band stuff. I mean, we'll probably work with other people as well, but it was fun working with him because it's, he kind of does some post-production work as well with his photos. So we've never done that before.
We also have a release date, April 16th, which is perfect and not even soon enough for me, but I like the wait. I think this is all about, everything in the last year has been about waiting. So a little longer isn't going to kill anyone.
April 16th. And, we thought about waiting it out, but, it's been a year, and it's like, we're a band and putting out music is what we do. So we decided to just go ahead and put it out anyway.
Well, we like to be out on the road when a record comes out, and tour on top of that and build on that.
That was kind of the dilemma.
Yeah, you can't do that this year. So, but we decided we can't wait anymore. The record's done. We want the fans to hear it. We're tired of living with this, and it's like we have a secret and we can't share it. Yeah. Finally, we just had to share it.
Right.
So.
It's good to spread something positive
right,
with everything negative that's been being spread. So I very much like it. 5 years ago, you guys were in Milwaukee, and I still talk about this on the air every time we play you guys, that Noodles, you committed to this bit with the ukulele so hard. And for people that weren't there, there's only about 50 listeners, about telling the story of
my grandpa's ukulele, right?
Your grandpa ukulele. I think he was in the war at some point. Wasn't he in Hawaii?
He got it in Hawaii on his way back from the war. Yeah.
Which war is that? We don't know.
It was the war.
The
war. Yeah. He's on his way back from the war. He was recuperating in Hawaii and the islands, and he learned to play ukulele. He bought his first ukulele there and brought it home, and then taught me how to play ukulele and everything I know. And that was my entree into music, actually.
And everybody in the crowd was like, "Oh, that's so nice." And I almost, I don't want to give it up, but it was 5 years ago, so I think the joke's been told. So it's not like I'm retelling the joke. But then at the end, when you smash it, I saw a couple of it looks like somebody pulled the bottom out of some of these people's undercarriages, and they go, "What did he just?"
You can hear people audibly gasp. Yeah, when it happens.
When you just smash it to shit, and it's great.
I had my nephew come up to me after one of the acoustic shows. Was that really your grandpa's ukulele? This is my nephew.
I love that level.
My cousins, while I'm telling this story, my cousins from my mom's side, they're on the back of the thing go, well, he must be talking about Ray. Ray is my dad. They must be talking about Ray's dad? Like, trying to figure out who I'm talking about. Yeah. Like,
the level of commitment to the bit is just, you're just like.
Oh, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. Going back to the new album, the track listing, And I've talked about other bands with this, and you guys been around 30 plus years. When you lay out the tracks, especially for an album that is much more anticipated than something that maybe was, just 2 or 3 years ago, how is it agonizing or any easier putting a track listing together now than it was even first, second, third album?
I think we always want to make it as good as it can be. So I guess in that sense, I wouldn't say agonizing, but you're really into it, trying to make it as good as you can. I mean the way we write songs, I don't think you can really have a grand vision of, okay, the album's going to be this, and we don't limit ourselves writing that way. We kind of just write what we write, and songs come out. They kind of develop themselves in a way. They kind of want to go in a certain direction. You take it there, and then you kind of look at the whole collection after a while and go, okay, which ones of these pieces fit together in a way that would make sense as an album?
And I think you're setting a tone, obviously, with the name of the album, Let the Bad Times Roll. First song is This Is Not Utopia. You are definitely going, listen, not a lot of smiles out of the gate here. All right. It's been a long time, and it's been a little rough time lately.
It's been rough the last couple of years. And I mean, while we're hopeful, we're not out of the woods yet. That's for sure. We're still in the tunnel.
But this isn't something out of the ordinary for the Offspring, for an album. I mean, I think there's always been, you guys have managed to do a nice kind of balance of genuine punk and some angst, and yet some comedy along the way. And some of these, I mean, we played Coming For You a couple of years ago. I'm glad to see that pop up on here. And then everybody, once this thing was posted on the day that you announced the release of it, everybody's like, gone away. Like, and it was just comment after comment after comment. So what is it as a song, Gone Away? Are we talking a new version of the old song?
He was right on the edge of asking that question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. About Gone Away on the album. Is it a new version of the old song, or is it a reimagined thing?
It's I guess a new version of it. I mean, for the last few years, we've been playing that song with me on the piano, and the band kind of comes in at the end. But we started doing it that way because we liked the idea of kind of doing it in such a way that was kind of more, I don't know, it felt more direct in a way, because it was more personal. Just hearing just vocal and piano. I mean, obviously that works that way. Yeah. And the response was so good that fans started asking, where can we get a version of Gone Away that's like this? And so for doing it for the fans, we put one on this record.
I was excited to see it. And yeah, again, it's the fan, the comments about that. How has that been? And I don't even know time-wise what to say about that over, let's say, the last 2 years with fans. How are you reacting to fans when they go, when is it coming out? You're talking about, you're bursting. You're like, I want to tell you, but I can't yet. How did you converse, I guess, with your fan base on that?
Well, I've been talking about it coming out since 2018. Yeah. And so the fans no longer believe anything I say. Now I wasn't lying, because I believed the record was going to be out back then when I was talking about it. So, but yeah, the fans still, doesn't matter. I believed something that wasn't true, and I repeated it, and now the fans are mad at me for it. I don't blame them.
Yeah, we thought we could get it done in 2018, and we thought we could get it done in 2019, but there was just, always something else to do.
We did think it was going to be done, and then, when everything was shut down, and we were in the middle of tour when the pandemic really kind of hit, and everything was put on lockdown. We had to fly home from South America. But we were pretty close at then to calling it done and putting it out. But then once everything was shut down, we kind of went back in the studio and, just kind of revisited some stuff and worked on other stuff and changed some stuff and remixed and mixed new stuff. And finally we got to the point where, like, this has to be put out. The fans need to hear this. It's been long enough. And
having an older sibling, I feel like for so many years as growing up, she would always go, flinch and not punch me. And then when you finally get punched, you're like, oh God, that wasn't a flinch. So when you said you were promising people and you felt like I just think of it as like, just landing a punch when you said you were going to flinch.
Here's the final punch. That's exactly what we're doing. We're punching our audience. Finally.
Yeah, here.
Finally.
A bit of a relief, I think. I was curious with Huckett, you did manage to tuck that on the 20th anniversary edition of Conspiracy of One, which I thought was interesting because was there anything stopping you from just throwing that on the new album?
Gee, we didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That would have been darn. That would have been great.
Or did it not fit?
Yeah, no, that felt more like almost like a collector's kind of track that we thought would fit in with Conspiracy One, because the Conspiracy One thing was a reissue and much more of a fan related kind of thing.
So they were kind of the same time and everything too. Where I mean, we were just skateboarding and surfing and snowboarding, and it was a much easier time 20 years ago than it has been the last 4 or 5 years.
That's what I was going to ask. Over this last year, I mean, I know, I'll just be honest, I take this thing very serious. I take this pandemic very serious. I'm always masked up. I've got asthma and diabetes. So I'm like, man, this isn't how I want to go out. This is, thank you. So I'm beyond the point of debating somebody about wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. I'm on, I don't even think of it as a side anymore. That being said, what have you guys been doing this last year outside of recording?
Yeah, really rehearsing the new stuff, getting together. We have been getting together, and we wear masks. We come in. We've also shot a video for the single for Let the Bad Times Roll, and then shot some live performances. For that, we've all been tested, and when we're not walking around in public, we take our masks off and for the performances. Other than that, we've been wearing masks and face shields, and just trying to avoid crowds. We never sit this close to each other normally anymore.
Oh no,
it's just where we're at right now.
Yeah, we've been tested twice in the last week and a half.
Wow. Yeah. Just raws up the nose a little bit after a while, doesn't it?
Tickles and makes your eyes water and stuff.
It's kind of fun. I always do the neti pot almost every night just to clear out the nasal passages. For years I've been doing that. So I'm kind of like, it didn't bother me, but I get it. Just some people are very sensitive in the nose. Yeah. I'm like,
it's the new blow.
It is. Do you ever think about, I mean, what if this would have happened? Let's just pick 1994. I mean, can you imagine how different a trajectory your career would have went if that 1 year would have just hit the brakes and, those big breakout years that bands have?
Yeah. It would have been weird.
And you changed everything.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're more not ready for it, but you
would have sucked. I would still be a janitor.
I
would still be a janitor.
So you probably wouldn't. There'd be no school, so you'd be, man, you might, who knows?
Let's not talk about that.
I would be cleaning up poop and vomit.
Yeah. That's something for like the Offspring comic book or something. The choose your own adventure, the Offspring, maybe in the future. Looking forward with the release of the album. Anything special that you can talk about releasing it that you're going to do?
Is there something? Do you know something that we don't know?
No, not at all. That's no.
They dropped us. They dropped us. Is that what you're saying? They dropped? The record's not coming out.
Yeah,
they dropped. I mean, things are so digital now compared to the last time we put out a record, and especially now, and
especially
we
with
can't tour and stuff. So we're trying to think of fun things we can do online. So we're doing some videos, and we're gonna do. I don't even know if I can say this yet, but I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna
throw it out there. Throw it out there.
We want to do a series of videos called "How to" with the Offspring. So we're gonna do videos that show how to do things. Silly things.
Okay.
Like I don't know, how to catch a wave, or how to open a beer bottle with a lighter. I don't know.
I like that. Just quick, how to fly a plane. I don't know how.
Hey, there's an idea. Yeah.
No, just actually how to take over if the pilot goes down and they walk through the cabin and they go, does anyone know how to fly a plane?
I've been trying to get him to teach me that for years now. Yeah.
I feel like there could be more than like 5 steps, but I think if you just basic say, how does the nose land? Where do
I've been secretly watching. I think I have it now. I think I got it. I mean, I actually have dreams where I fly his plane. Not because he gets sick or anything, but
you've been up in it.
He's not around and I'm flying his plane. It's the scariest dreams ever. Nobody wants to be in those dreams with me.
Sometimes I go like this and just to freak them out, just to see how they'd react. Just kidding.
Yeah.
You guys, you are trained. You're gonna sit in the back. You sons of bitches. I always
cardiac arrest.
About that. Man, like you guys have flown into like LaGuardia, where if you don't stop on time, you hit the water. Like the end of the runway is just the ocean. Whereas Milwaukee, you have a nice pad around you. It's nothing but land around here when you come in.
That's for sure. It's a beautiful airport.
I think about flying way too much, even though I haven't flown in a year, which is bizarre. No, I like how-tos. It's endless. I think just even if you turn around and say how to, make sure a mic is properly potted up, something as simple as that. These could be 30-second videos or 30-minute videos. I love it.
That's kind of what we're thinking. I mean, Noodles used to be a custodian and
how to clean up vomit with Noodles.
Yes.
Yeah. You get that sawdust looking stuff.
See,
which is really called malt diastase, but yeah,
I would never know that. I would never know that. This is really going to serve society.
I don't mind this at all. Well, that's what I'm curious. It's like the downtime of what bands have been doing, especially ones that release an album. I kind of love this stuff. I love the side ideas of things that go along with it. Because I'm running out of hobbies around here. I started yoga.
We're just trying to keep our fans content. That's what they call it now. Content. You got to have content for your fans.
Right.
How is it with younger fans? I mean, when Smash came out, I was 20, I think. So I am right I'm in your pocket. But for younger fans, how is that? Do you interact with them? Do you talk to them? I mean, is it
on social media? That's one of the good things about social media.
Yeah.
One of the few good things about social media is you can interact with your fans immediately, like there. You can have give and take in real time, and that's genius. So yeah, I'm on Twitter quite a bit and going back and forth with the fans. I try not to get too heavy with anything. Try to keep it lighthearted, and let's have a joke about this or that for the most part. Speaking of the opposite of lighthearted, as far as the politics of the new album and some of the things you hit on, I guess without having heard the whole album, I don't know what I'm getting into, but just let the bad times roll. There's some very some hard some hard messages in there for sure.
I mean, there's been a lot going on the last couple of years, and of course it needed to be commented on. And I think that it's not. I wouldn't call it a political song necessarily. That's only part of what's been going on in the world. But for sure, it's been pretty rough. And like I said, we're not out of the woods yet.
Well, we try to consciously not tell anybody what to think or feel. But express thoughts and feelings that we might be, or that anyone could be feeling, and just get people to think about what's going on in the world. There's been a lot going on in the world lately, and we do reference some of that. I think you have to kind of reference what's going on without also making it. You don't want to write a song that's, this is only going to be about this point in time. You want to have a song that has a lot more meaning, even if it does have some kind of historical reference to it.
Something that ages well. And that's what I will say. I mean, for the almost 35 years, where are you guys at? 35 years, right? As a band?
Yeah, I'm 35. I'll be 36 on my next birthday. And
good guess.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for noticing.
Your songs don't sound dated. I mean, you hear some of the emo punk bands coming up, and it sort of gels right in. You can tell, like, a lot of them are kind of borrowing some of your stuff, some vocally you can hear it with other bands, and musically, I think it's the same. So I think you guys have done such a good job of not ever sounding dated, which is great.
Well, thank you for saying
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Not
Of
easy.
course, I think it's hard for us to be that kind of, objective about it. We get asked, when we've been doing, like we just did a 20-year re-release of A Conspiracy of One. And they're like, take us back to what it felt like back then. And we can kind of go back and we have all these memories, but the songs don't seem like 20-year-old songs to me, They still seem to kind of fit. Same with Smash, Some of the early stuff we did, I can tell, man, we didn't really know what we were doing. At least me as a guitar player.
Right.
I can hear it like, oh, man, I wish I would have. Yeah, anyways. But the songs still they just sound like songs to me. That being said, I tend to gravitate towards music that I fell in love with when I was a teenager, and it kind of taught me, my way in the world. So that's how I feel about music.
Well, I know when the early albums came out, and I just got done reading the Bad Religion book, and Brett Roots always talked about how they said Dexter's vocals is the loudest instrument on this album. And that always kind of rang in my head, especially when I found I was talking to you guys. I'm like, what a cool thing to hear. And what a very true statement.
Was it a compliment? Or,
I believe in the context it was. Yeah, without giving too much of the book or history.
I haven't. I haven't dug into it yet. Usually I read books when I'm on the road, on planes and in buses and in vans, and we just haven't been doing that. So.
I mean, that was a thing back in punk rock. The idea is that you wanted the guitars to be heavy, and a lot of that was to have the vocal not way on top and to sort of we used to call it fighting with the guitar, and that's a very cool sound, and I like that. But we were writing really melodic songs, and I wanted people to be able to hear the vocal, so it was a conscious decision to mix it that way.
I think there are bands around that still. I think Rise Against is a good example of that, where the vocals are really coming at you and really kind of grabbing you, just like you guys have always done, which I just think is interesting when you look at kind of next generational stuff and hearing similarities. That's why I kind of mentioned with younger crowd that listen to you guys. They're like, somebody might say, you guys sound like Rise Against. You go, hold on. You're like, they sound like us.
I knew there was a reason why I liked Rise Against.
Yeah, right.
But we just had this conversation in another interview. I don't think Rise Against were necessarily inspired by us, or that they necessarily sound like us.
Yeah.
But maybe they were inspired by some of the same bands that we were inspired by. Yeah. But I do like them.
Yeah, I think they're great.
Great.
One last thing with when you got done recording this, was there just as much excitement as any other album you've done, or was it really kind of a big, big, we're done? Or was it electricity of, we're going to get this thing out and it's going to fucking kick ass? You're like,
yeah, it's never really that kind of like, okay, we're done.
Finality.
Yeah.
Especially not with this record.
I think, to answer your question, we had a slogan last year. Our last year's slogan was 2020. It's going to be our year.
It's going to be our year. Freaking year. So actually, I think I started that on 2019.
Okay. But anyway, we've updated it. 2021. I think it's going to be our finally going to be our year.
Yeah.
There was a lot of year for you to have in 2020. You could have had the whole year to yourself.
Yeah.
But you've been playing on a beach somewhere in front of
dolphins. We are really excited about this record.
Yeah.
In general and as a whole, probably more than anything before. But it wasn't like all of a sudden we called it done and here we are excited. It was like just a slow build. Really was.
Is there anything left that didn't make the album that you could either start from for the next album or turn into like an EP or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. There's already all kinds of stuff for the next record.
Three or four. Yeah.
Good.
I think more than that. He's being modest. He doesn't like a couple of the things that I'm going to push for.
Okay. So 7 years, the next one. That's it. We're going to.
I was going to say.
Pick up the pace.
I wanted to leave.
I thought you meant 3 or 4 songs. No, I think like 6 months.
6 months. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
6 months.
We're going to be touring on two records.
You went harder than I did in the end. I was going to leave it wide open at the end and not ask for a date, but now numbers are fun. You can.
Everyone believes me now.
Yeah. Credibility.
You flinch.
Now that the record's finally out.
Yeah.
So 6 months, kids.
Now that you hit everybody with the record, you can do this again. This is great. Dexter Noodles, thank you guys so much for the time. It's great seeing you again. I'm hoping the next time we see each other, it is live in person, and hopefully not in February in Milwaukee because we just got dumped with snow.
Amen.
Thank you. Great seeing you.
I would always come to Mecca. Milwaukee is my Mecca as a beer drinker. So I don't care if there's snow on the ground. I love Milwaukee.
There will be beers waiting for you next time you show up. Safe travels when you do head out, and looking forward to the album again. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Take care.